So BMW could be the next major investor in KTM. It's hard to believe that headline. Today, we're going to hop on the Baby Ninja, the ZX4RR. We're going to talk about this subject and how it could really change things for both brands, BMW and KTM. So let's swing a leg over and talk about this exciting rumor. Oh, that's some squealy tires on the Pilot there.
And when I got back from the moto vlog discussing this topic, we have a resolution. So I'll go ahead and share my ideas during the moto vlog, and then we'll come back here and talk about KTM finding some investors.
Oh, what? We caught a green? Just absolute perfection here on the ZX4RR. All right, so BMW is potentially going to buy out KTM. At the time of this recording, so this Tuesday, KTM is saying that they've lined up like 900 million euros of investors or worth of investments into the brand. But it hasn't been approved. So today there's like a vote on whether KTM gets approved on this 900 million euro investment or so. If they get approved from these investors or creditors, I guess you could say, then BMW's probably not going to be involved with KTM. However, if KTM doesn't get approved, that means they go bankrupt. And there's a nice BMW right there. So if KTM does not get approved for this new credit line, they're going bankrupt. And there's this document saying that BMW could swoop in and buy KTM, all right, the Austrian motorcycle maker. They're in MotoGP, and why would BMW be interested in KTM? Well, I think there's a few fruits that KTM offers. All right, but before I get into that, that document is also apparently saying that BMW would close all of KTM's Austrian factories. If they just have one there, they would close it, but they would lay off all their Austrian employees. So that's about 4,500 people. That's hard to believe. I think you would think they would relocate some of those employees to Germany, or the Bavarian Motor Works. That's fascinating. So KTM would no longer be Austrian; they'd be German, or they could be Indian. So BMW has a joint venture. KTM has a joint venture with, I think, Bajaj Motors. I don't think we get much of their bikes, but some of the new KTM models, I didn't want to say like the 390, like the Adventure 390. I can't think of exactly what it's called, but that's made in India with Bajaj. And I could be butchering how you say these things, but the fact is that if this goes through, BMW would be interested, I would say, in KTM's Indian joint venture with Bajaj, and they could produce more motorcycles in India. India is like the new China in a lot of ways. For the automobile landscape, there's so many investors going into India. Toyota's been investing more into Suzuki to produce vehicles down there. Tesla's investing into India right now to expand their factories worldwide. And so I could see BMW wanting to spread their influence down there as well through the KTM brand. Or they could just, I don't know, could they just demolish anything KTM? That's a possibility. You know, maybe we'll go on the interstate, because I haven't spread the wings. Jesus, is this supposed to be a family show? I haven't spread the wings on this Baby Ninja on the freeway in a while, so I might take it on the interstate. But then it gets harder to talk, so it's, you know, it is what it is. So maybe we'll do a quick run up to Bonita or something. There's also a big thing that BMW could gain here, and that is KTM's MotoGP. I think BMW is into superbike racing, and they're really good at it, of course. BMW, of course, they're going to be good at anything racing. But MotoGP is not something they're in right now, surprisingly. But apparently, BMW bought out Suzuki's MotoGP data, because Suzuki no longer has MotoGP. Gosh, this Corolla is a terrible driver. But look at this guy. The guy that saw on, he's like, hey, look at me. Could have been a high school kid. I don't know. If he's a high school kid, he would be in class right now. Yes, BMW could absorb KTM's MotoGP prowess. And that could be one of the big reasons they're investing into KTM, as well as maybe their in ways into India, or spreading their influence into India. All right, so how does this affect the consumer potentially? Ooh, well, that's exciting. The ideas are limitless. It just depends on what happens. If BMW buys them and doesn't dissolve them, then KTM lives on, right? So if KTM lives on as a subsidiary of BMW, will we see some crossover products or some product badge engineering per se? Or could we see some of KTM's engines into BMWs and vice versa? There's a BZ4X, those always stick out. Such a weird looking vehicle. There's a Element. I love car spotting. If you guys like car spotting, let me know. I could go car spotting on my motorcycles every day. Look at that Mustang back there looking sick too. Looking real nice. And now it's covered up by a RAV4 or whatever. I'm seeing K4s everywhere. Let me know if you guys have seen the new Kia K4s where you are. It's a beautiful Aston. I almost didn't even say anything about the Aston because I see them all the time. Yeah, I see Astons more than a BZ4X, that's for sure where I live. We also get a lot of these electric Amazon trucks, or Rivians, right? Rivian makes those Amazon trucks. Oof, so good. So good. All right. I'm just stuck behind this box truck, so it is what it is. But at least you can hear the slow wind out here with the Graves titanium exhaust. We'll give it some beans here on the freeway. Gosh, this on-ramp is so slow. There we go. God, is she so fast? It's not as like scary fast in some ways as the MT-09 was, but it's just so smooth at speed. I'm gonna get into a tuck. Tucking on the Baby Ninja. Always check my mirrors to see if there's police behind me. I'm not going that fast. I'm not even catching this Xterra up here, so. But my head's getting ping-ponged around. Full throttle. Jeez. All right. Back to BMW and KTM. You know, do I want it to happen? Well, I don't want KTM to go away. But just because BMW buys a bankrupt company doesn't mean that KTM still won't go away. BMW just be buying their assets, their engineers, their technology. That makes sense to me. They could get a fire sale in KTM and then maybe keep that plant in India still going. So let me know what you guys would want to see out of a BMW takeover of KTM, kind of like what we were just entertaining the thoughts of Honda taking over Nissan not that long ago, right? So let me know what your thoughts on there would be. Let's get away from this disposal truck. And one, it doesn't smell good, the disposal truck, but two, I felt like I had some debris hitting me from it. So
All right, so we're at Motorsport. KTM's creditors have approved the restructuring plan as a company's future is secured. I would say near-term future is secured. KTM is not out of the woods entirely. I mean, they're just taking on more debt. Is this good debt that's going to help them pull them out of the ground, or is it going to sink them further? Positive news for KTM ahead of the start of the new MotoGP season in Thailand as creditors agree to a 30% cash quota, which amounts to around 600 million euros, which is to be paid by the end of May. So they got to pay out 600 million euros by the end of May. But they need an additional 150 million euros to ramp up production at its main plant in motoGP in Austria from mid-March. This would ensure the company's operations with around 2,000 employees until the end of May. We just need to get out of the first half of this year, it seems like. The hearing began at 9 a.m. and was initially scheduled to last 3 hours, as there were almost 4,000 claims filed by creditors. The jury room in the regional court was full with around 100 people being present. The KTM CEO, Gottfried Neumeister, and co-CEO, Stefan Pierer, were among those in attendance. KTM AG owes around 180 banks a sum of 1.3 billion euros. The banks had previously called for a higher cash ratio, and therefore it wasn't clear whether the restructuring plan would be accepted. So they wanted more than the 30%. Shortly before 2 p.m., remember, it was supposed to go to 12 p.m., it was confirmed that the creditors had approved the restructuring plan. So this plan provides for creditors to receive a cash quota of 30% of their claims in the form of a one-off payment. And in order to fulfill the 30% quota, KTM must deposit an amount of nearly 550 million euros with the restructuring administrator by the end of May 2025. The court will then confirm the restructuring plan at the beginning of June, and the restructuring proceedings of KTM AG will end once it becomes legally binding. The planned full capacity of their 4 production lines in a single shift operation to be achieved within 3 months is the further plan of Pure Mobility. In the afternoon, 2 creditors' votes will be held at the regional court regarding the subsidiaries KTM Components and KTM Forschungs and Entwicklungs. These involve smaller sums, and it is expected that the restructuring plan will also be approved. Okay, yes, it seems like they need their parts makers to go along with them. The crazy thing here is that no one knows who the investor is that shelled over all this money to KTM for this, I guess, lifeline. Could it be BMW? I highly doubt it. Bajaj Auto, which owns almost majority stake in KTM, had injected 50 million euros into the company in the form of a loan. Pure Mobility AG also stated in another press release that the fresh capital of 800 million euros is required. This is needed to finance the cash quota and to further production. Guys, this is just a loan extension. I don't know if KTM is going to be able to pull this out long term. If they go bankrupt, which could happen by the end of 2025 or 2026 or however long they could get pushed forward by investors or creditors. It's yeah, I don't know. I want them to survive, and I want more competition in the motorbikes segments. KTM's not there. We're missing a part of the motorcycling market for sure. Could BMW then swoop in? It's still a possibility. They're probably waiting for KTM to be completely bankrupt and not owe any money, or in theory not owe a ton of money. They would be worth pennies on the dollar, and then BMW could swoop in and absorb their most valuable assets. Time will tell. Let me know if you think this is good news. Huge restructurings, like it's way over my head. But I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching. Long live KTM.